Good morning, evening, or afternoon, depending on what side of the pond you're on, and welcome to another special Accrington Stanley Legends edition of Across the Pitch. My name is Phil Kennedy, and I have Darren Woodhead, Chief Accrington Stanley historian, on the line with me today, where we're going to talk to a guy who played over 100 games in the Football League for Burnley before playing for Accrington Stanley and another team that we follow on the show, Barrow AFC. He's been everything from a player, manager, coach, and is now back at Accrington Stanley as head of recruitment. Welcome to the show, Ashley Hoskin.
Welcome to the show, Ash. It's some CV, that, isn't it?
Yeah, it's all right, mate. Yeah, it's decent, to be fair. Obviously, I've been fortunate, more or less all my life to be involved in a game that most people love. And obviously, I played since I can remember being able to walk, and to still be involved at a professional level. It's very good.
Yeah, excellent. So we've quite a bit to get through tonight, obviously, with your CV. So starting off right at the beginning with your football, I know you're a couple of years older than me, and I first heard about you. I was at Peel Park, you were at Uncourt, and everyone was talking about the latest stop prospect of a footballer in Accrington. It's a small town, and you ended up signing for Burnley, didn't you? What age did you actually start with Burnley, Ash?
Well, I started at Burnley at the age of 14, but I was actually playing for Uncourt Junior School. And back in the day then, scouts weren't allowed to approach, and the actual head teacher at Uncourt Primary School got a letter from Manchester City saying that they'd seen me playing for the school, and would they contact my parents to get back in contact with them, and invited me down to Man City. So from 10-year-old, I was going into Man City, but unlike today, when these academies up and running, they weren't even allowed to be called Man City then, they were called Blue Star. So I had 3-4 years at Blue Star at Man City, and it was fantastic. But as soon as Burnley came in with me at 14, obviously with being a Burnley supporter all my life, I jumped ship, so to speak.
Yeah, well, it must have been a real thrill then getting involved with, youth team, and you were in the first team really early, weren't you? Probably one of your youngest people ever to play for Burnley, I would have thought. Yeah,
I left school at 16 and then got what they called an apprenticeship then, and unlike today when the kids get a scholarship, it was pretty rough as an apprentice, to be fair, because you had your own sort of boot person, and, my first person I had to look after was actually Nicky Phelan, who's obviously Manchester United legend through Sir Alex, and obviously he's gone back to the club now under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. So, I have to look after Nicky, I have to look after his boots and get laces and cook city. But fortunately, again, I went in at 16 and I did well, and I was in the first team at 17. So, again, luck or whatever you want to call it, but I got a break at 17.
Yeah, and you made your debut against Southend as a sub, is that right? So
yeah, I remember it well. Yeah, I remember it. I was absolutely amazed. I never slept on the Friday night. I mean, I was living in Uncourt with my mum, and I remember I never slept, and I just couldn't believe that I was going to be walking out at tunnel at a turf when, from the age of 5, my dad used to take me and put me on his shoulders at back at Beale End. So it was a very, very proud moment for myself and my family.
Yeah, and you went on to be involved in some big occasions, didn't you, at the club? I mean, momentous day when they nearly went out to the Football League, which was massive, wasn't it, back in the day? What are your memories of that?
I mean, memories were all the press from about Wednesday. We played on Tuesday night at Crewe, and if we'd have got a result at Crewe, would have been fine, but we didn't. So the press from the Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, leading up to the game were manic. A club like, founder members of the Football League in a position where if you didn't win, they were gonna go out. So it was a massive week. The press was everywhere.
Yeah, and they just managed to obviously get over the line and managed to kick on a little bit. Then they started rebuilding again after that season.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, we survived. The season after, we did kick on. Obviously, the crowd started to improve, so we could get a little bit more of a better squad together. We got to Wembley that year. and we took 30,000 to Wembley, and out of that 30,000, I think 6, 7, 8, up to 10,000 stuck. And since then, they've just got bigger and bigger and bigger.
Yeah. And you scored an important goal at Preston that gets talked about, with 2 goals to talk about, but one of them's at Preston that Burnley fans still talk about on the way to Wembley.
Yeah, I remember we'd played on the Friday night at Stockport, and I actually scored at Stockport. And we went on the Friday night, we went straight to Blackpool, stayed at Blackpool Friday night, Saturday night, Sunday night. To be fair to Preston, they allowed us to train on the plastic pitch on the Monday. And then obviously the game on the Tuesday, and, nobody gave us a chance really, because, we drew 0-0 the whole game. But went to Deepdale, sort of nothing to lose if you wanted to. Press was saying, it's Preston's game and Preston should get to Wembley and they're looking forward to it, etc., etc. And, we pulled off a 3-1 win, and, I got the second in extra time, which was, I remember it as plain as anything, to be honest. A bit of a goal line scramble, and it come to me, and I just smashed it in top corner at the end where all Burnley fans were, and it was like, wow.
Yeah, still wants to stay with you forever. I mean, you then went to Wembley, you were on the bench. There's a bit of a story around this, and I know you've probably been asked about it a lot, but we'll cover it, is the fact you never got on the pitch, did you? Even though they were losing 2-0, the Clarets, that must have been strange and upsetting, really.
Yeah, it were. I don't hold anything back. I mean, I never really, didn't forgive Brian Miller for it, because it was his choice and that's the way it is. But, when I went back to the club in a coaching role, Brian was still around at the time. And I remember him pulling me over one day, and he said, I haven't got many regrets in football, Ash. He said that my regret is not putting you on at Wembley. When I look back, he said, you're a local kid. I should have been more respect to you. And I shook his hand and said, well, it takes a big man, Brian, to come and say that. I said, but, I fully accept that it was one of them things, and, I fully accept your apology, and I think it's quite good of you to come and see me, to be fair, which you did.
Yeah. Did he say why he didn't put you on? Because it's still strange, baffling to me that with a few minutes to go and they're losing the game anyway, you wouldn't just throw you on.
No, he didn't actually. No, he didn't, Darren, to be honest. He just said that it's something that in the back of his mind he knew afterwards that he should have put me on.
Yeah.
Maybe it just skipped his mind, when we
were caught up in the game,
losing 2-0. Maybe just caught up in the game and just thought, I didn't put him on. But, he apologised, and we moved on. I was disappointed, obviously, I'm a local man. But I have a lot of respect for him. I always have respect for him. At the end of the day, he was the manager, and, you respect his decisions, although it hurts. But, it's football, isn't it?
Yeah. And another highlight of your career at Burnley was the goal against Swansea. It was on social media again last night. It got posted.
Right.
Fantastic. We're on Twitter last night. I can't remember who put it on, but again, fantastic goal. He got a lot of airtime, didn't it? Around, I think Saint and Greaves, they were the ones who first showed it, weren't they?
I mean, the week after we played Wolves at home, and we were actually in the Oaks Hotel in Nelson having a quick match, and it came on. I mean, I had no idea that cameras were that nice at all, but I do get, obviously, I mean, I still follow Burnley home and away a lot of times, and when we were going away, it's all, God, that goal at Swansea, the best goal I've ever seen, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
But, it's just one of them. I mean, when the cross came in, I actually cleared it from edge at D, and I mean, just, sprinted out like everyone does. I just picked it up and I just went. And if you look at the footage, I'm still like looking around. Who's supporting me? Who's not supporting me? Just kept going and going. And, I remember it pretty well. And I remember all Swansea supporters all stood up clapping. The ones who were sat down were clapping. The ones who were stood up were clapping. But again,
brilliant goal.
We needed a win and we didn't. And so, as much as the goal was this, that, and the other, I was disappointed that we couldn't hang on.
Yeah. What stood out for me is the pitch as well. You did well to score that. I mean, you forget just how bad the pitches were back in the day, don't you?
Well, you do. And I mean, to be fair, obviously I work at Accy now full time, and when you look at the pitch now, you can play snooker on it. When I used to play down that Winnie end, sometimes at half time I've changed my boots to a gum boot in a Wellington.
Yeah, I know. It's used to run down into little holes, didn't they? Like in some of them corners, the players would disappear.
It got softer and softer as you went down the hill.
Yeah,
I've watched Bernie Hughes' one. It was interesting because Bernie would have been strapping lads, so you know, that with me on that wing, sometimes it was up to my knees.
Yeah. Oh no, excellent. So right, next news, you leave Burnley. So what actually happened there, Ash? Why did you actually leave Burnley?
Well, I mean, the manager came in, a new manager come in, and it's funny, you know. I mean, it was Frank Casper. You know, I've known Frank from when I was a youth team player, and within the first week of him coming in, I just knew that I weren't going to be in his plans at the end of the season. You just get that feeling. I mean, I didn't play a game, or I played a couple of games, and I don't think I did too bad, but he just didn't fancy us, you know, and that's, you know, again, as much as it hurt, you know, I remember the day, you know, I got pulled into his office and he said that he wasn't offering me a deal. I went down bottom fields at Gawthorpe and just sat up fields. I didn't really know what to do, where to go, what to do. But, you know, that's just the way it is. It's football, you know, and I'm in a position now where, unfortunately, I have to sometimes release kids at 9-year-old. So when I look back, it couldn't have been easy for Frank, even though I was a pro, I was a local kid and had done well and scored this and blah, blah, blah. You know, it couldn't have been easy for him. And like I say, I'm having to sometimes release kids at 9-year-old now. So, you know, it's just part and parcel for as much as I was disappointed.
Yeah, do you think that helps you now when you do have to break that news, you know, to kids, etc., to know how that felt?
Yeah, it does then, because, you know, we've had kids in Accrington Academy who've been there from 9 and we've got to 16 this year. You know, and there's a local kid from Uncourt, we didn't take. You know, and I was sat with his dad, and it just so happened that his dad's a Burnley supporter, and, you know, and I said to him, listen, it's not the end of the world, you know, I've been in this position myself, albeit as a bit older and a pro. And he said, he said, we know you're at Burnley, whatever. I said, so, you know, you've got to get on with it, but it does help. It does help when you've been in the manager's office yourself, and, you know, you've had the same news.
Yeah. So so I know you came to Accrington in '92, but what about those 3 years in between, Ash? What were they like? And I know you went playing for Bangor at one time, didn't you? Burnley Bangor.
Yeah, I went going to Bangor. Listen, that was just money, mate. You know, at the time, I had a daughter, very young. Yeah. And you know, it was just a case of like Phil Malley had gone there, Ian Britton had gone there, Neil Grewcock had gone there, Derek Scott had gone there. And, you know, they persuaded me, said, look, it's a great little setup. You'll be playing football and you'll be working for a fella called John Howard, who did a bit of finance and stuff and things like that. So it was like a job, come playing football and basically getting a wage. It's not what I wanted to do. But at the time, I couldn't afford to go out on trial. I mean, a lot of clubs had said, look, come on trial. And, well, you don't get paid if you go on trial.
Yeah.
You know, so I have to just take... I mean, I think it helped with all them 5 or 6 Burnley lads being there as well. It sort of swayed me to go that way, but it was just literally to get some money coming in.
Yeah. Then you ended up coming to Stanley. No, it's what it's all about, you know, at the time, isn't it? You know, it's... It
were that time, mate. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, definitely.
And I played a game, I remember it going well at Washington and Kirkham away. And after that, I got a phone call. And it was someone who was a friend of a friend from Stanley who said, listen, you need to get out of that league. It's far too easy for you. How about coming to Accy? So I met with the manager, Mr. Staley, as it was.
Yeah.
And obviously I'm an Accrington lad. So it was great.
Yeah, you came in just at a good time as well, didn't you, with the cup runs, etc.
Yes, I mean, your first game was Gateshead Cup, I think. I remember. One of the first
that game very well. Yeah.
Becky got hat trick, didn't he?
Yeah. Yeah, it's...
I remember it very well. It was packed.
Yeah. And
1-3-2, didn't we? On match day and everything. So it was a good start. 1-3-2, Gateshead, place were buzzing. And now, when I look back now, I think, wow, you know, I've been playing week before at Kirkham and Wesham in front of one man walking his dog who probably got lost. To turn up to Accrington when, you know, there was like, I think there were 2,500, 3,000.
Yeah, it was sold out. Yeah, you packed to the rafters, weren't it? I mean, ground was a lot smaller then.
Yeah, it felt to me that I got back in, if you understand what I mean. Crowds there and a decent level of football, to be fair. And, you know, it was great. It was great. I loved it.
Yeah, and the season after was another good cup run as well, and a match at Turf Moor.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah, I remember obviously the one at Ewell Park was decent. It was never a 6-1. You're looking on paper and you think, Jesus, but, we give a really good account of ourselves. In fact, we should have been 2 up. Becky's missed 2 when known, right?
Yeah, I remember that.
With today's TV, if you could pause it like you can and say, right, have a bet, does Paul Beck score one-on-one with keeper all day long? You bet he scored a goal, but he missed. And that would have gone 1 up. And then it just changes a little bit. The non-league team go 1 up against the league club. It just changes the mindset of everyone. But yeah, the second year...
Good footballing team as well, weren't they, Crew?
Oh, yeah, they were a class, mate, yeah. Yeah, they were decent. But again, the year after, we had another great cup run. And the game at Scunthorpe at Turf, how we lost. It was
heartbreaking.
Wasn't it?
Heartbreaking.
It was heartbreaking. It was.
To go for, I think we mentioned it on a previous podcast, and there's 2 games that stand out in all my time watching Stanley, and that one, and when we didn't get promoted with Steve in his game, and similar kind of feeling, you just couldn't believe it. We thought we were going back to Scunthorpe for a replay. Well deserved replay as well. Could have easily won that game as well.
Yeah, we should have won. Well, we could have won, yeah. And like I say, it was like 2 minutes, right? 2 minutes into injury time.
Yeah.
I remember it well. Unbelievable. Yeah. But again, we give a good account of ourselves, and Scunthorpe were doing well at the time. And, back on Turf for me were a big thing. So, no, it was a good day. And the club, were just starting, Accrington would just start to get recognised. And then, we just sort of pushed on a little bit, yeah. It was good.
Yeah. And then Eric got involved, obviously a big part of Stanley's resurrection, getting back into Football League. But that's when it all started around that time, Eric getting involved, and you were there as well, weren't you then?
Yeah, I was there, and I remember it, first time Eric come in, and he sat us down and he said, listen, I'm not here for the next month or 2 or 3 months or 4 months, whatever it might be. He said, I'm here to get this football club back in Football League. And I'll be honest with you, all lads were like, just a little bit of a sniggle, you know what I mean? Not derogatory sniggle, just a little bit of Grimmy nudge me at ribs, and I nudged Becky at ribs, and we nudged Lee Roger at ribs because we were all good mates as well. And when he went, we all went, well, I'll tell you what, if his dreams come true, fair play to him. Anyway, he did.
Yeah. Nobody could have seen that it would happen back in the day, though, would it, with facilities we had. And, we had a good team at that time, but for that level, but it's unbelievable what happened, really.
Yeah, it was, to be fair. And, we'll probably touch on it later, but it was only, obviously, John to Mr. Coleman coming from Ashton United at the time, as it was.
Yeah, definitely. So also, around that time, I've just been telling Phil about another Phil, the Phil Collins episode. Yeah, we've just been having a laugh before we came on because about the story of.
I heard there was something in the air one night.
Yeah, you're not wrong. To be fair, it was against all odds what happened.
Oh.
Yeah, to be fair.
So go on, Nash, tell us what happened.
God bless him, the director in there, John DeMain. I've known John for years too. Probably kicking a football against his front door when I shouldn't have been doing it on court when I was growing up. Yeah. And he wrote to this woman, Phil Collins, his PA, we've got a kid who we feel looks just like Phil. Here's a picture, blah, blah, would you like to sponsor him? And unbelievably, he wrote back, said that Accrington was a team that he'd always have a bit of a soft spot for. He said his main team was Spurs, but yes, he'd love to sponsor me. And they were checking there for 500 quid. And he sponsored me all the time I was there. I got tickets for his backstage passes. Unbelievable. Met him twice. Unbelievable.
Great stuff. Real good story of that. I mean, I remember at the time, he got national media.
That, those are the kind of stories that I just love when we dig those up for the show like this. It's just those, little pieces of history that, nobody would ever expect that Phil Collins sponsored an Accrington shirt in the 90s.
It was unbelievable. And like I say, he didn't just do that before games. He used to send little messages on fax machines with a little smiley face. Good luck today, fellas. All the best, Ash. Cheers, Phil. And like I say, he got me tickets for 2 of his concerts, backstage passes. He was absolutely fantastic. Unbelievable.
Right.
Great stuff. Well, speaking of music, we're going to do what's kind of our most popular segment on the show. It's called Rapid Fire, and with the Rapid Fire, we're just kind of having some fun with some different questions. It started off with some North versus South England stuff, and now we've got some music and TV, and it's just kind of a one or the other type of stuff. So when you're ready, I'm going to come through with the rapid fire questions. Are you ready, Ash?
Yes, fire away.
All right. The very first rapid fire question is: do you prefer garden peas or mushy peas?
Mushy.
Red sauce or brown sauce on your bacon buddy sandwich?
Red sauce.
Red sauce. All right. And then do you prefer black pudding with your full English breakfast?
I certainly do, yes.
Yeah, good stuff. You still don't know what one is, Phil, do you? Black pudding, you ask the question every week.
Here's the thing is I've Googled it and read what it is, and it seems like one of those things that's better to try before you read what it actually is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like beautiful. A hot dog, if
you can't beat it from local butchers in Baxter here.
Yeah, they're excellent.
When I get over there, I'll have to try it, but I'm going to need to have a pint right next to me.
Why not?
All right, so let's do some of the music questions now. Do you prefer the Beatles or the Rolling Stones?
Stones.
Yeah, that's a good one. And then Oasis or Blur?
Oasis.
All right. And then we've got a few TV ones. And this was the first one that Tony Robinson, who's the father of Rapid Fire, if you will, he wanted to ask if you like Coronation Street or EastEnders better.
None. But I'd have to say Coronation Street with being a northerner.
I'm with you there, and that's why I added the question: would you rather watch Sunderland Till I Die or Michael Jordan: The Last Dance?
Sunderland Till I Die.
That was a good show. What were your thoughts on that? We always kind of like to hear what people thought when they were watching Sunderland Till I Die, because it's one of those things that kind of gets a different emotion out of everybody. What were your thoughts when watching that?
Well, I think it's a lesson, isn't it, on how you've got to manage your club properly. I mean, you can't do what, lots of these clubs try and do. And if it doesn't go right, you finish up where Sunderland are now, which is League One. And when you think that Sunderland gets 35,000 on and Accrington get 2.5 on, and they're in the same league, it just shows how far Accrington's come and done it the right way.
It's mind-blowing that, when one club, like you said, could get 2,000 out and, just really manage their finances, and then another club that, has one of the biggest followings in the whole country. And, it's difficult to see because, they have such great fans up there. So let's hope they get things turned around here in the near future. But before we finish up with the rapid fire, we just have a couple of North American questions. Tony Robinson, who I mentioned earlier, is originally from Accrington, now lives in Canada. And he thinks that Canada's signature food dish, poutine, would be a hit over in Lancashire. Now, this is chips with hot gravy and cheese curds. Is this something you would like to try?
Definitely.
Oh.
Got a bit of a cheese connection, haven't you, Ash?
Well, we certainly have, yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. Family business.
Oh, yeah. All right. Well, now we know where we get the cheese from with the chips.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that could come from Ash's wife.
You get down to our little cheese shop. She'll gladly serve you some beautiful Lancashire cheese.
Excellent. I will need to stop in there. I've got a growing list of places to visit when I get to Accrington. All right, and then we'll finish up rapid fire here with the Phoenix, Arizona question that we've added in, which is, would you like to try hot jalapeno peppers on your pepperoni pizza?
No, thank you.
Now, We're big into hot and spicy foods over here, and we put hot peppers on everything, even our pizzas.
I was in Arizona in February. I know all about Arizona. Trust me.
Oh, okay. Where in Arizona did you visit when you were out here?
We was in Scottsdale. I actually stayed in Peoria at the Sheraton.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm kind of right in between Scottsdale and Peoria is where I'm at. I'm in the central Phoenix.
The staff stayed in the Sheraton Hotel on the big junction there, across from the Metro Center.
Okay, yeah, that's near where I'm at. But yeah, up in Peoria, that's right by where they've got the hockey stadium and the football stadium, and that's real nice out there. So yeah, it's a great place to visit, but you probably don't want to come here in July. February's a good month.
Yeah, like I said, a good friend of mine, Peter Leebrook, who is going to be doing one of these hopefully. I've spoken about it and I'm waiting for him to get back to me. He's in Scottsdale. He's been there 22 years. He keeps telling me in the summer, like 110, 112, 114. It's nightmare.
Yeah, I've always lived here, so you kind of get used to it. I'll take 115 over some of those cold, windy Lancashire days I see on the iFollow.
So just on that note, while we're talking about Arizona, Ash, so you take young teams over today from Stanley, is that right?
Yeah, what they do, they have the President's Day trophy over there. It's a massive tournament. It goes every February during the February half term, so around the 11th to the 15th of Feb. So what we tend to do is go around the 9th of Feb for a week. Pete, who's over in Arizona, sorts out all the kids in horse families. This year we took Accy under 14s. Very, very successful. If it wasn't for the way they did their goal difference there, we'd have won the tournament. But they do it a different way compared to what we do it. So we lost in the final on goal difference, it's quite hard to explain, but we beat a team 7-1 and another team beat them 7-0. But then we beat another team 6-0 and they only beat them 4-0. But because we conceded 1 in the previous game, that counted against us apparently. But anyway.
Wow. That takes some working out, doesn't it? You must need your calculator while you're watching games.
Absolutely. Oh, wow. But it was a wonderful, great experience for the kids and, the American people over there. They took 2 kids in each in the horse families, fetched them, carried them, took them to trips, took them to stadiums. Absolutely unbelievable.
Brilliant.
Now, Darren, you had some other questions that had come in from supporters, and rapid fire might be the fan favorite part of the show or the listener favorite, but the supporters' questions, those are my favorite part.
Yeah. Okay. So we've got a few lined up. Few people post the week before on social media and ask if anyone's got any questions, and I pick a few out. So some I know about and some I don't. So Steve Law's asking about the favourite American car owned by your dad, which didn't mean much to me, but
Lincoln Continental.
Right, so
absolute mint, 1977 Lincoln Continental. Wow,
excellent. Gary DeMain, we've talked about his dad. Bit of a joke question he's got coming up now. Your favourite debut, Burnley, Stanley, or Huncourt Primary?
It's a tough one, that one. I think I might just have to go with the Burnley one.
Yeah, I can imagine why. Yeah, good answer. Right, so this game, I think from a few people, and talking about the academy, we were talking about young players, and is there anyone at the moment who we should be watching out for? I know, obviously, Ross Sykes has come through and done fantastically well, hasn't he? Is there anyone else who we should watch out for?
Well, what's interesting this season is that Zane is obviously going to be in the Gaffer's main squad. He's come through the academy. Reagan, however you pronounce it. Yeah, Ogle. He's come through the academy and he's going to be in the squad. But if we go down to the 18s, I think there's been 1, 2, 3, there's 5 players out of last year's 18s being offered pro deals.
Okay.
And in the actual 18s now, they're very, very strong. But going down to our U16s, we've already offered 4 to scholarship from when they were 13, 14-year-old, because we've had all clubs sniffing and we didn't want to lose them for silly money. So we're very, very strong in 18, 17, 16, 15s. Very strong.
Okay, good. Just moving on to Rob Russell, who's asked a question now. Do you do Phil Collins on the karaoke?
Of course I do Phil Collins on karaoke. He texted me about 4 days, right? I've just come back from Ibiza a couple of weeks ago.
Oh, well.
Absolutely.
But we don't have it in the budget, so I'll sample in the do.
Yeah, we'll settle for that. Right. Just one question from me. I mean, I haven't had a chance to go and have a look at this new setup now at the academy. Ames, how's that going? Actually been up there and seeing, being able to use that facility.
What, up at the new hub?
Yeah.
Well, to be fair, the academy ain't back yet. We've not been told when we go back. We think we're aiming with the EFL and all the COVID stuff going on. We think it's going to be around the first or maybe second week in September. But for us all to be together, where we can have us breakfast together, etc., etc., it's a massive move forward. It really is a big step forward for the academy, for the first team, for the 18s. Yeah, it's really, really good.
Brilliant.
Have you not been up there, Darren? No.
No, I'm going to try and get up sooner rather than later and have a look round.
I mean, you've obviously seen what Ames's was before.
Yeah, I played on Ames's. Yeah,
yeah, it's a game changer completely.
Yeah, I'll make it a priority to get up there soon. Right, yeah. So jumping back onto your career, Ash, we've just come towards your end of your Stanley career in a way. How did it come about you leaving Stanley and joining Barrow?
Well, again, the manager changed. Stan Allen came in.
Yeah.
Stan was a Scouser who obviously Eric brought in, and he just had different views. He brought in loads of Scouts at the time. I got a phone call from Stan saying that Barrow really, really wants me to go up there for a chat regarding, moving to Barrow. I went and had a chat with him, and obviously moving to Barrow, going where Barrow is, it had to be financially right before we even stepped through the door. And it was. So, that was the reason. I mean, Stan...
Step up in size club, really, as well, weren't they, at the time?
Yeah, it was. But, I mean, again, I'll be honest with you, I was disappointed because I'm actually lad, weren't I? For a manager from Liverpool to come in and start to change things like Leroy, local kid, went, me, local. I think Grimmy was on his way as well, and Becky was on his way, and, it just wasn't the right thing to do for Accrington Stanley, in my opinion. But, again, manager comes in, and I'm in a situation now where I've just mentioned a couple of minutes ago where I'm having to tell kids that they're not quite here, whatever. So that's the way it is. The manager thought that was best for Accrington, and that's what happened. So I went to Barrow, 2 good seasons there, and then went down to Bamber Bridge because, again, and Owen Brown come in, a Scouser, and he just got rid of everyone apart from there were a full 11 Scouse lads come up to Barrow.
All right. Yeah. So it's been a bit of a theme there with Scouser arrives, and you're all right, Ash, isn't it?
Well, yeah.
And to be fair, it did happen a lot in those days, didn't it? And I suppose when Coley first come to the Stanley, he brought a full team of Scouse players.
I mean, you always say you need Scouse in the team, to be fair, they give you that little bit of extra steel, and and like I say, when you look back, you're disappointed, but like I say, when I'm doing what I'm doing now, I fully get that they want to make changes, and they make changes. It's just, it's football, and I've learned over the years of experience that nothing surprises me anymore.
Yeah. So then you were you started getting involved with coaching around that time. I would imagine, Ashley, doing your UEFA badges.
Yeah, I actually got an email from the PFA at the time saying that they realised that all these academies were going to open, and they wanted as many ex-players to do the coaching badges as possible. Would I be interested? And I thought, you know what, it sounds good to me, that. And I honestly thought, I went to the Cliff at Manchester to give me level 1, as it were then. And I did it with all Bolton Wanderers players. And I thought, it'll be a doddle this. I'll go in, I've played, I know what crack is. And it was an absolute eye-opener about how the PFA wanted things done. Absolutely top drawer, by the way. But, you know, we all turned up at the Cliff. Man United were training on grass, we were indoors. And you could see all lads, all Bolton Wanderers players, blah, blah, blah. Neil Cox, who's just got Scum Thoughts manager, was on it.
Yeah.
Aldin, who's just got Bristol City manager's job, he was on it. And we all went in thinking, well, you know, give us a few cones. And it was an absolute eye-opener. And it started from there. I then did my level 2. And then did UEFA D. And I think going back the line in 2009, I was probably one of the first people to get an A licence, to be honest.
Right. And then you managed to secure a job at Burnley, didn't you?
Yeah. Obviously, Burnley started in the academy. Again, I started off doing the under-9s because I only had my level 1. And every time I got a badge, I stepped up with a group. And then eventually, the A licence, I stepped in to do the 21s under Brian Laws.
Right. So, I think you left when Brian Laws was a manager, wasn't it? Is that, again, that must have been a disappointment to you. Was that just a reshuffle again with new manager?
Well, Brian was in as manager, and Brian, I was working at the club. I was this technical skills coach for the academy. And I did a little bit of work with the 16s and 17s, and Laws had come in and said that we're going to start opening this development squad. So, I mean, I was at Burnley when Lawsy was there. So I went to see him and just said, listen, what's the crack? He said, well, we have to advertise it. He said, if you want to put your CV in. So I put it in. And obviously, the new development squad was basically the 17s and 18s that I'd been coaching the previous year. So I knew every player. So I obviously got the job. And obviously, when Brian got sacked, Eddie Howe came in. And Eddie completely stripped it from Martin Dobson, Vince Overson, me, Phil Malley, Jeff Smith, all lads who'd all played for Burnley. Every single one of us went.
Right.
And again, that's football.
Yeah. And it's ironic because he didn't last that long.
Yeah, he wasn't there very long.
Exactly. He didn't last very long, and all them people who came up all went back with him. Unbelievable. But that's what he did. I mean, Martin Dobson, the legend, Mr. Turfmore, but he got rid of him. You know, he got rid of him, and you'll know Darren, big Vince Orbison.
Yeah.
Big Vince under 18s. So I was 21s, an ex-Burnley player. Dobbo was overseeing everybody, so he was like the head of coaching. I was 21s, Big Vince Orbison 18s, Terry Pashley 18s, Andy Farrell under 17s coach, all ex-Burnley players. Every single one of us got pulled in and said, listen, he's having a staff restructure with Eddie. So we all went.
It's crazy that though, isn't it?
Oh,
mental.
Yeah, I mean,
when you got, listen, I thought, and I remember saying to my missus, I said, I might be under the remit of a reshuffle here. I said, but the rest of them, 18s, 17s, and we were talking to staff saying, well, he's not going to go into 18s and, under 16s at the academy, etc., etc., but he did. Yeah,
it's like he almost did it just because he could do it, didn't he? Because he can't have evaluated you all as coaches, can he?
Yeah, I mean, it just seems like he's kind of coming in and, you're working hard doing your job, and then he comes in and, like Darren said, doesn't have a chance to evaluate. He just wants to bring in his people, and that unfortunately seems to be the way that it is with some of these managers. And it's a story that we hear a lot is that, with the, not even just with the staff, but from players that, I don't know how many players we've had say, I had 15 goals in this year, and then the next year a new manager came in and I was shipped out of town. It just doesn't make sense sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, and like I say, that's what happens in football. wherever, I've just noticed that Sheffield Wednesday, their manager has always had his own staff room, and he's just took them all back to Sheffield Wednesday now. James Beattie was at Accy. He's gone with the manager everywhere, and he's just gone back to Sheffield Wednesday. Gary Monk, yeah. So it's football. It happens, whether it's right or it's wrong. It happens, and to Eddie, he's been very successful, hasn't he? And, he had a good do out of it, and that was just his way of thinking. He was in charge totally of all football related matters, and he did what he felt was best at the time.
And then after you did leave Burnley, you had a few other stops. You were assistant manager at Barrow, manager at Colwyn Bay. You also made a stop at Fleetwood before things brought you back around to Stanley and your current role as head of recruitment. So that was the last thing that we wanted to talk to you about here today was your current duties at Stanley as head of recruitment. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so obviously the academy is getting bigger and bigger and bigger. Really, head of recruitment, you need someone in there who's got a lot of contacts, which I have. So the job was advertised. It was perfect for me. I live in Baxington. The academy use Accrington and Rosendale College, which is literally a 5-minute walk for me. I went in, had an interview and got the job. And since then, Accrington Stanley now, we've got under 7, 8 and 9 development centre right at middle of Manchester. We had one in Liverpool.
I bet it's a big surprise for you seeing all the changes at Stanley and all the growth over the past 25 years or so. What part of that is most shocking to you when you walk in? And is it just being in League One? Is it the growth of the academy? Is it all of the above?
I think it's the actual complete turnaround from the new stand to the facilities to the pitch. Just seeing what Andy Holt's done since he's come into the club, it's phenomenal. I mean, obviously I'm an Accrington lad, so I know even before I went back as head of recruitment, I do follow them. So I knew that things were starting to have an upturn. Andy Holt came in, he's a very, very shrewd businessman. And what he's done at the club is phenomenal, really. He's an absolute gentleman as well. I mean, we were down there, I think February time, and it was absolutely bouncing off the floor. And this sums up Accrington Stanley for me. We came round the car park at the back of the away end, and there were 2 blokes in yellow vis jacket with wellies on, shifting some grass from the pitch to a skip. Then 2 blokes were Dave Burgess, the CEO, and Andy Holt, the owner. That sums it up for me.
It's the whole family atmosphere that, Andy all the way down. It's what made me fall in love with the club from 5,000 miles away. And, it's just amazing hearing the history of everything that it's taken to get there. And certainly, you've been a big part of that for parts of 3 decades now. And it's just an honor to have you on the show with us today. What do you think is the future at Stanley at the men's and youth level before we wrap up here? What are the goals for the club at both levels over the next few years?
Well, I think honestly we're in League One, so we're obviously backing above us weight in terms of the size of the club. But John Coleman doesn't think that way, and we in the academy don't think that way. We're pushing players. We've had to tie 4 15-year-olds into a contract already because they're that good, and we feel that they will play in our first team, because otherwise your Manchester Cities of these world will come and take these kids for £15,000, and and there's nothing you can do about that. So I think it's absolutely on the up. The academy, the under-18s, we've now got a 23 squad, so there's a pathway from 18 to 23 to the first team. And I think that's a massive word when I'm trying to recruit these kids, there is a genuine pathway at our football club. We don't have a squad of 30 and then, 21 under 19s. These kids, these 15, 16-year-olds, I'm trying to get some of these kids to come out of Man United and Man City, and I've succeeded on 2 or 3 occasions because the club is so friendly, and there is a genuine pathway, and all kids want is a pathway to play first team football. And at some of these massive clubs now, you ain't going to get that.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Because with the bigger clubs, they're going to bring in international players, and it's just with Accrington Stanley, like you said, if you see what a guy like Ross Sykes, like Darren mentioned earlier, is doing with the first team now, you see that there is the genuine path.
Yeah, and we feel that we've got some 16-year-old and 17-year-olds that will hopefully in this Carabao Cup. So, we are hopeful that Corley might just throw a couple of these 16, 17-year-olds in just to put them in the shop window.
Excellent.
Because they are that good. And Corley, one thing I've got to say as well is Corley is absolutely brilliant. He comes and attacks the kids. He's top man. Absolutely brilliant. He's great with all the staff. At some clubs, even when I was at Burnley, you wouldn't go and speak to the manager. Now, with Corley, he's just one of the lads, and he knows what's happening with the academy. He gets footage of some of the goals that some of the top players are scoring within the academy. Him and Jimmy want to see how the academy teams have done. They want footage from the analysis people so that they can have a look at these kids, which is absolutely marvellous. If you say to a kid, oh, by the way, we're forwarding this to the manager, that kid feels $1 million.
Yeah, it's brilliant.
Yeah, I mean, everything that John Coleman does, it just seems like, he's one of those guys where, we've had so many players tell us that, it's not the secretary that calls us up, that John Coleman calls us up himself and says, hey, we want to bring you in for a meeting at the team. So, what you're saying about, the fact that he's so involved with knowing what's going on with the youth team, that just is why he has 4 promotions. But it's really, it's been an honor having you on the show today. Did you have anything that we hadn't asked you about before we wrap up for the day?
No, everything's been great, fellas. And obviously, it's an absolute honour and privilege for me to be able to speak to you guys. I think, you're wonderful following Accrington, and from 5,000 mile away, middle of the desert. I find it quite fascinating, if I'm being honest.
Well, I have loved every minute of following Accrington Stanley for all the reasons that you've said. Just the whole atmosphere of the team, and it's really about the people. And like I said earlier, it's just an honor to speak with you and hear about the parts of Accrington history that maybe people like me who have started following the club over the last few years would never have a chance to hear or otherwise. So thank you so much for coming on the show with us and telling your stories today.
Not a problem at all.
Cheers. Thank you.
It's my privilege.
And we always like to finish up with an on Stanley on. So if everybody's all right with that, on Stanley on.
Stanley on.